Hello and welcome to the Victory Podcast. This is your host, Monique Watson. And on this episode, I sat down with Tramaine Lewis of Char'lee's Cure Foundation, talking a bit about her foundation, her daughter Char'lee, who inspired the foundation, what it's like being a caretaker of a special needs child, some lessons learned, and as well as some information about an upcoming prayer for her daughter's surgery on March the 17th. That prayer session will be on Friday, March the 13th in New Orleans, Louisiana, and make sure you check out the show notes to find the location of the church and attend the prayer event if you're in the New Orleans area. Stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time you're listening to this. I'd like to welcome you to the Victory Podcast. I'm your host, Monique Watson. And I have the lovely, grand, wonderful pleasure to have Miss Tramaine Lewis of Char'lee's Cure Foundation here today. Hi, Tramaine.
Hello. Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So we're doing this over the great wonder of blessing.
New Orleans, yes. The dirty South.
Yeah.
Big easy.
Yeah, so just to give our listeners an outline of kind of the journey we're going to go on today through this interview, we'll talk a little bit about Tramaine's background, a little bit about her daughter Char'lee, and how Char'lee inspired Char'lee's Cure Foundation, and she'll give us a couple of tips and tricks around caretaking for kids with special needs, any lessons that she's learned, things she would go back in time if she could and tell herself maybe earlier on in the process, and then kind of close out with any ways that people who are interested to learn more or want to donate and how they can do that. So let us begin. Let's start at the very beginning. So tell us a little bit, for the listeners at home, a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how we got to know each other, all the good stuff.
So my name is Tramaine Lewis, born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, and married. My husband is Charles, hence the name Char'lee. We've been married for 14 years. And we lived, in Texas, Lake Charles, and we just made our way right on back to New Orleans because our heart is here. Came back, started having babies. So my second oldest, Char'lee Lewis, was born in 2009, and she, unbeknown to me, she was born with cerebral palsy, visual impairedness, and a host of other medical issues. We had no idea she was going to have. All of these complications, but she came here, and we just kind of strapped up and was like, whatever we have to do it. And we just since then have been taking care of our beautiful baby girl, and just doing the best that we can. And she has truly inspired us. You might hear her a little bit in the background talking. I don't know if you can hear her or not, but she has inspired us to reach out to other parents, navigate through the journey and the challenges of caring for a child with special needs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me more about Char'lee. What are some of the things that she really loves to do? Things she really can't stand that she has to do, or just a little bit more about Char'lee herself.
Char'lee has a very spunky personality. She absolutely loves to sing, and just because she's hearing me do this interview and talking about her singing, you might hear her bust out a song because she loves attention. So now she knows I'm talking about her. So she might bust out Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That's been the hit for the past week. Christmas is over, but she's still singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. But anyway, she loves music. And because I know this, I use music to learn on her level. She loves food. She is a huge, and thank God we are in New Orleans because she gets to explore all kinds of different food, and she is not picky. She will eat it all. Um, she loves to just, she loves to have all of the attention. She loves to be engaged with other children, you know, and that's why I'm glad it's she has siblings, because what I do is I make them include her, and it just puts the biggest smile on her, and it just puts the biggest smile on her face. um Char'lee does not like to work. Like when it's time to do therapy and to get her on those legs and to make her do certain things, oh, she is a turtle. She is quite the diva turtle. She is quite the diva who is like, I don't want to be bothered, you know. So I have to create little songs to get her to move those legs, and that's what gets her to move. But if it wasn't for music, she would just be looking at you like, next, be looking at you like, next. Um, she doesn't like to be in an environment that has where she can tell something is wrong. Like if the other kids are fussing, she'll start crying because they just upset her vibe. Like she and
Mm.
daddy having a few words. That's why we got to take it to the next room. She can sense it. Like she has this huge sensor that lets her know when something is not right. So I tell my kids, like, even if they're running through the house and one of them might hit their toe on the sofa, or might hit their toe on the sofa or the end of a chair, I'm immediately rushing to their aid to try to get them to. First, I want to address the issue, the pain that they're dealing with, but I'm also saying, okay, but can you bring it down just a little bit, because you might upset Char'lee.
Mm.
Like we really try to happiness, because when I tell you, when she starts sounding her alarm of being unhappy, that's a wrap.
Mm.
That
Mm-hmm.
is a wrap.
For sure. That sounds awesome, though. Um, so how is it? So you said you have. So how is it? So you said you have. So Char'lee is your second of five, correct?
Well, she is my second oldest. My husband and
Okay.
I have 5 kids together. He
Okay.
has 2 daughters,
Okay.
18 and 16. I'm sorry,
Okay.
18 and 20, 12 years old. Char'lee is 10, and we have a 5-year-old. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, we have 5 together. I mean, 5 children in total, but we have 3 together. So I have 2
Gotcha.
bonus kids.
Two bonus kids. There you go. How do they? What are some ways that they, like you said, you make sure they're included? What are some like things they like to do with Char'lee, or like is there any kind of fun activities, or is that a challenge sometimes to make sure that she stays included with the other kids, or sometimes you hear about when you have. I mean, I have sometimes you hear about when you have. I mean, I have family members that have autism, and so it can be challenging for other kids to, regardless of siblings or not, but to understand that person's, um, in this case, a non-neurotypical way of like that can be challenging. Have you had that kind of with your other, either the bonus kids or biological kids, or some iteration of that ever with Char'lee?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When they were much younger, they knew that something was wrong, but they still gave her that attention. But as they got older, I oftentimes got the question, when is she going to be able to do this? Or when is she going to be able to walk, talk, even see? Because kids really don't know. Um, so I would just have to be honest with them and say, listen, Char'lee's going to have challenges for the rest of her life. However, this is what you can do to engage with her. And so I made sure creativity is a priority in my house. She can be included. Things that I would not have normally expected to do to make sure that my child is a participant, I'm finding myself doing it so they can know how to help her engage, so they can know how to include her in their day-to-day activities so she can feel that inclusion. But once they caught on, and grasped how to involve her in their lives and how to make her feel a part, they just started doing it. So now it's like, Mom, we're making a fort. Can you put Char'lee on the bed so we can put her in the tent with us? Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or the older kids, like, they know about recording their voice, the alphabet song or the numbers or just body parts so that she could be, but just her hearing their voices and me having something to constantly be able to play for her to
Mm-hmm.
know that's my sisters, that's my brother, that's
Mm-hmm.
mommy, that's daddy, those type of things, that's
Mm-hmm.
mommy, that's daddy, those type of things help her to feel included and involved. And it also allows them to be able to connect with her. And so we just build on top of what we do. And we're always finding other ways to make sure, that she is included. So I would say it was a challenge in the beginning because I was learning too. But now I feel like I kind of have a little rhythm with it. And so now it's not a challenge, it's more of a just a desire to want to be consistent and being innovative.
Right. Right. So, what would you say as a care, maybe in like a twofold, as a mother slash caretaker, that do you have resources that you're utilizing or some combination as far as making a therapy plan or something like that? So maybe some lessons personally, and then on the therapy side of like what, if there are resources you used, or therapists or occupational therapists or physical therapists, so on, maybe some a little bit about that as well.
Okay. So things that I've learned in caring for Char'lee is to not just care for her, but to care for me. Because I would care for her, but to care for me. Because I would care for her to, I would sacrifice to my detriment. Like literally, I would give her everything. I mean, it would be to the point where I hadn't done anything with myself, and then I would just have this low energy. And then it would send me into a state of depression. And I don't know if you've ever heard of a functioning alcoholic. I was
Mm-hmm.
a functioning depressed individual. I was doing the necessary caring for myself to be the best version of myself so that she could get everything that she needs. So I would, looking back, I would have started from the beginning, making sure that I took care of me, so that because I feel like I missed some opportunities to really give her um, more, so that she could have, in the beginning, like that 2-3 year old age, they call that the window where, if she's going to pick up anything, that's the window to shove it all in or to get it all in. And I feel like, just looking back, I probably was just a little bit mentally gone, that I may have missed something more and focused on, me being a complete individual more. I am she has the best version of me. So she's getting like a lot from me. But I just wish that I would have had that mindset in the beginning because she would have. But I mean, I went through a very dark space where I was in denial with some things concerning her. Not only denial, but just not even wanting help, not even thinking that I needed help. I never forget my mom saying one time, I'm gonna pick up this phone and I'm gonna act like I'm you if you don't start reaching out to different services and different um, resources that are available to you, because she have all my information. And so she was just like, I'm about to act like I'm you, and just a light bulb went off for me. It was like, you cannot bear this by yourself. You need your immediate circle. So I would have done that much sooner. I would have done it much sooner. Those are some of the things that I would have done different. Um, but as far as, and once I did reach out to those different resources, that's when those therapies kicked in. I was able to start getting her some therapy that came to the home, where I would be able to bring her places for her to get speech therapy, vision therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy. She was able to benefit from all of that because I allowed myself. To get help. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so that leads into talking about let's talk a little bit now. We talked about Char'lee, got to know her a little bit. And then a little bit about the Charlie's Cure Foundation, kind of what that entails, and we can tell it's inspired by your amazing daughter. But let's learn a little bit
Thank
more about the
you.
foundation and what y'all do.
Absolutely. We are a support group, to just sum it all up, for caregivers. Our main is mothers who have children with special needs. But the caregiver is an individual that is caring for somebody else. You could be caring for your mother, your sister, your aunt, your grandmother, your father. And it's not just moms are caring for people, it's fathers as well. But the caregiver is who we want to care for as well. Oftentimes, the caregiver gets overlooked. The caregiver is looked at as this strong individual because they have people taking on such a huge responsibility. Um, when really, to be honest with you, do people even realize that I didn't ask for this? I thought I was giving birth to a gift that I could unwrap and show everybody, what I have, show her off, And so to my discovery, it was in the beginning, my mindset was, I can't show this off. I can't, this is not what I asked for. This is not what I thought I was carrying. So this is not, people think, you're so strong, but I didn't sign up for this, right? So the caregiver, internalizes so many other emotions caring for someone else. So much begins to set in to someone else who is fully dependent on you. Then you begin to be drained. You begin to get stressed out, and I'm speaking from someone who has a husband, who has an amazing support team, who has help. So I can't even imagine what it looks like for somebody who doesn't have that. Because even with all the support that I have, it's hard. It's mentally challenging. It still breeds self-neglect. Depression depression creeps in and builds up. You still go through this space where you isolate yourself. And I'm feeling all of these emotions with help. So I cannot imagine what the for someone who has a special needs. I can't even imagine. So the idea of Char'lee's Cure Foundation is to offer care to the caregiver, to offer them just to offer them the idea to be able to envision that their life is not over. They have so much more. Like whatever it is that they want to do, they can still do it. They can still accomplish their dreams. We want to offer services that will build them up mentally because I believe it starts in the mind. That's where some of those decisions to just really want to quit, those decisions to just really want to quit came about for me. I just began to feel myself so low. I began to feel like, so depressed and just wanting to give up. And so other things started creeping in my mind, but it started in my mind. But it started in my mind. And so it just, that thing began to grow. And so now I'm dealing with even bigger mental challenges of just really wanting to give up on life and to, take my child's life. But I had to really press beyond life. But I had to really press beyond and overcome those thoughts and really build myself up mentally. I had to focus on my mental health, which is what we want to share with the foundation and to the caregivers. Focus on your mental health because depression is so real. Be thinking about doing something so bad, and it only takes a second. It only takes a second to do it. But if people would just reach out and let people know you're not alone, you're not in this fight by yourself. You have help. I really want to pull in other resources that can see the vision that we have and say, hey, we want to help with, mental health. We also want to help with just getting them away from their day-to-day routine. Sometimes just fresh air can make a world of difference. I remember days where Char'lee was just crying and screaming, and I had no idea. I was doing process of elimination. Like I fed her, I changed her, I bathed her. She had her medicine, but she's still screaming. Like, what is the problem? And I just went sat on the porch, and that made such a huge difference for me, just to get them 10 minutes of just stepping away from my environment for a minute and going back inside. But I know so many caregivers who they don't even think to do that because they feel guilt for maybe leaving on the bed. Like this is when I started to get stronger. I will because I'm like, she's not gonna die from crying. I will put her on the bed, surround her with some pillows, make sure she's not gonna fall, and I will go get me some fresh air because either I'ma hurt her if I don't get myself together, or she gonna drive me crazy. So it's so important to just really step away for a minute, and we want to show people how to do that by just really getting them out of their day-to-day routine, helping them to get a break. Like say, hey, come on, let's go get our nails done. Men, let's go, go to the game or something. Like we have tickets, let's go, go to the game or something. Like we have tickets for you to do this, that, and the other, just so they could feel an outlet and, have that release. We want to offer retreats for the caregivers to get away for a weekend and to be able to just stay for a weekend and to be able to just enjoy nature and to get built up mentally and, listen to other speakers who can really bring some relevance to their situation and great information on how to day to day overcome. Because it's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. It's definitely a journey, but we definitely need continual things happening so that people can feel that support 24/7, 365, so they can know like when I'm feeling this way, I need to reach out so that I can get what I caregiver that I could be. So those are, a few services that we have right now. Of course, we definitely want to build on that. But just being able to offer mental toughness seminars, retreats, and outings for our caregivers to revive themselves and be the best caregiver that they can be.
So now by now, whoever's listening is like, this is a great cause. I need to figure out how can we help? How can we donate? Do you have any events coming up for fundraising, so that people can get connected with Char'lee's Cure Foundation, Cure Foundation?
Awesome. So we have a website. It's www.charleescurefoundation.com. That's CHARLEES Cure Foundation. On the website, you can donate. You can become a partner with us. There's a donation tab. You just click on that tab, and it will lead you to the right place to be able to make a donation and become a partner with us. We are. You can follow us Charlees. We're on Facebook, Char'lee's Cure Foundation. So we are definitely working on our agenda for 2020. We have some things lined up. Um, the next big thing that's going on right now, we're preparing for Char'lee's big surgery she has coming up. So we are planning a support group. It's going to be after that. We don't have the date locked in just yet, but it's going to be in April. We're looking at the 18th to just meet with some caregivers, but to back up a little bit, March the 17th, she has scoliosis, and the curve in her spine is so severe. They have to go in and straighten her spine. So I'm mentally still preparing a year now. Um, the issue was her weight, her being too small. So now has she's gaining weight, and it's been very consistent. And so now they're like, well, she's getting big enough we could do this surgery. And now they just gave me, you think you're ready, but I'm just like mentally, I'm not there yet, because this is going to be such a huge procedure that I just can't imagine. My prayer is that, and I know it's maybe just a little unrealistic, but I'm just like, Lord, I don't want her to feel anything. That's my prayer. That's my prayer for my baby. Like, I just can't, because it's going to be an enormous amount of pain because of the cutting and the screws that she has to receive. But we are planning for that. That's gonna be huge. But April, we're gonna have a support group coming up in June. We'll do our benefit luncheon, and we are working on that weekend getaway. So stay tuned. We'll have those dates posted as Facebook.
Awesome. I'm making a note of those timelines. And we here at the Victory Podcast will I'm going to put on my calendar for my prayer list for March the 17th, yes, for Char'lee and for Miss Tramaine and that whole family, because it is when someone goes through surgery, you're emotionally there with them the whole time, right? So it's an emotional time. It is something that we'll be praying for, and we know that God can do the impossible. So
yes,
we know.
Yes.
We know.
And I just want to say, March the 16th is a Monday. I am going to put out a call to the Char'lee's Cure Foundation family. If they want to join us for prayer, who would like to participate in that prayer, to come out and to pray with us for an hour from 6 to 7. The address is 9301 Chef Mentor Highway, and it is at Sovereign Hope Apostolic Fellowship in New Orleans East. To be covered. I want her to be covered, and I need prayer. My husband needs prayer. My children will need prayer. I know it affects our kids, just when they see her and just in the hospital. She was in the hospital just getting a minor surgery. She was in the hospital just getting a minor surgery. And, kids don't know the severity of, my 12-year-old and my 5-year-old, they can't really grasp. All they know is they see their sister in the hospital in the bed, and I can see how in the bed, and I can see how that affects them. So I know they're going to need prayer. All of our children will need prayer, because I feel like whatever she has, our whole family is diagnosed with it because we're all dealing with it. Char'lee's diagnosed with palsy. So guess what? The whole family is diagnosed with cerebral palsy. Char'lee diagnosed with visual impairment, scoliosis, epilepsy. We all have those same diagnoses because we have to help her manage and navigate through life with that condition. So guess what? We need the prayers, but especially for her just to go through this process and for the recovery to be such a quick transition and quick recovery and pain-free recovery. As a mother, that's what I want. As a mother, that's what I want. I don't know how realistic. I know she's probably gonna feel something, but I'm just praying that she don't. So if all can, come and be with us on that day, it would be greatly appreciated. So I'm just expecting God to just really be with her and be with us.
All right. So I think that's mostly it. I want to thank you so much, Tramaine, for being really candid and telling us her beautiful mother for a little bit. I heard her trying to chime in the back, trying to make a cameo appearance on the interview, but that's all right. So we'll be sure to share, and if you're interested and you're listening to this podcast and really would like to, meet the folk, the Sovereign Hope Apostolic Fellowship on March 18th. They're going to have a power hour of prayer from 6 to 7 in preparation for Char'lee's surgery on March 17th. And I'll send, and in the show notes, you'll find links to Char'lee's Cure Foundation, as well as the address of that church on Chef Mentor. So you can So you can join if you're in the New Orleans area for that power hour of prayer in preparation for that. But thank you so much, Tramaine, for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. So I want to thank Tramaine for sitting down with me to talk about her foundation and her daughter Char'lee, and I hope you check out her website and please donate to such a worthy cause. I know I've already donated to their cause. Also, make sure to join them if you're in the New Orleans area at their prayer vigil that they'll be having from 6 to 7 on March the 13th. As always, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Victory Pod. Check out our website, thevictorypodcast.com, and please subscribe on wherever you find your podcasts. Thanks, and as we always say, every problem has a solution. It's whether you're willing to do the work to find it. Let's do the work and be victorious.